Ready when you are.
How's it hanging?
John and Glenn, finally back together. Well, back together. This is basically the first time you are together on record, isn't that true?
Mm-hmm.
How come it took so long for you guys to actually do something? Because you started back in '88 with this project, and now it's '92. So what happened?
I think it was a matter of John wanted to tour, and I wasn't ready to tour at the time due to difficulties in my health, which have now been sorted out due to my... I must be very honest with you and the viewers watching that I had a disease called drug addiction, and I had to come to terms with my life being sorted out. Hence, therefore, I went to the Betty Ford Clinic. The reason I'm talking to you about this, and as a good friend of mine, you know that, and to people in Sweden, is that people should understand that I'm not glamorizing the drugs at all. I had a terrible disease, and for the rest of my life I'll be having... I mean, I go through I have to go to meetings every day. My life now is full of wonderful things. I'm a very happy man. My musical career is taking off again. So consequently, in 1988, I wasn't really healthy enough to do the things that I should have been doing now, I can do now. Therefore, John and I waited this long to get this working, but I just want to let you know, my people in Sweden, that Glenn Hughes is now a very healthy man, and willing to come back and work and do the things that people expect me to do.
Great.
Very happy.
But when you decided to do your second solo record, this is the second one, Total Control being the first one, you told me that Glenn was the only choice you had for a vocalist.
Yeah, that's right. I've been a big fan of Glenn ever since I was 12 years old. And when I heard Burn and Stormbringer and all those great albums that he made with Deep Purple in the 70s. And really, if I wouldn't have gotten Glenn to sing on my record, I would, I don't know what I would have done, really. I would just call it a quit or something, you know. But really, I mean, he's just a fabulous singer. He's a great guy to work with. And, you know, it's like, you know, I have a record deal with Sony in Sweden to do 4 more solo records.
Actually, John, you told me that when you started to plan for this record, the only singer you could think of to do this was Glenn. No one else would do.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I've been a big fan of Glenn's music and his vocals since I was really young. I mean, since I was like 12, 13 years old, and you know, I love the stuff he did with Deep Purple back in the 70s, like Burn and Stormbringer and Come Taste the Band and all that great stuff. And also the stuff he did later in his career, you know, like Hughes and Phenomena record. And I think he's the greatest singer in the world, no doubt about it. And it's the only singer I really wanted to work with. And I'm very fortunate to have done that now and done an album with him and stuff. And yeah, I couldn't not really consider anyone, no other singer to do the album with me. And but if Glenn wasn't available at the time, or if he didn't want to do it, I would like to maybe have gotten David Coverdale then, because he's my second choice then, you know. But he's also, you know, one of my favorite singers.
You set your standards high.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why I don't choose to sing all the material myself on my record, because I don't have the experience yet, and still have a long way to go and sing as a singer, and I'm learning a lot from Glenn just by watching him in the studio and stuff like that. So maybe in the future I will sing a little bit more, you know.
But this is a guy whose picture you had on your wall when you grew up, and whose music you were listening to, and you were a fan of him.
That's right.
How did it feel actually to work with an idol?
It felt great, you know. As we talked about before, we met a couple of years ago when I actually did a show here in England at Hammersmith, Open Up Face Freely, by the way, guitar playing kids. And it's just like, at the first, when we met, that was about 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago I think it was. It was kind of, you know, I was kind of nervous. You remember, because you and I were together at that time. And but now, you know, we've been seeing each other a lot, and Glenn stayed with me in Sweden for 2 months, and
we live near each other in Los Angeles.
And now we live about 10 minutes from each other in Los Angeles, and you know, got to know each other. So now it was a really relaxed situation, you know, when we were in the studio and stuff.
Yeah, you stayed in Stockholm for a while. That means you must have learned how to speak Swedish.
all the wrong things, of course.
Well, I know you have an example at least.
Yes. Vad är det du? Everyone, hello.
There you go.
I long to come back to Sweden, and I'm looking forward to doing some promotional work for John's album. We're trying to put together some shows at the moment where I can come back and sing, you know, in the band, and we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah. You could pretty much work with anyone in the world because of your reputation, but
Right
still
now-
you choose to work with John. When you started out, he was an unknown guitar player for you.
Well,
and-
I'll say it again, if for people that didn't see the interview 4 years ago, that when I heard Final Countdown and I finally saw the video, live video, I just did some work with Gary Moore, and I think Gary Moore was the greatest guitar player. And I was very, very impressed with the young John Norum. And in fact, I told you, Anders, that if you could find out, you know, do you know John, and to see when he left Europe, I wanted to check him out, and he felt the same about myself. So I like, young up and coming. I mean, I don't restrict myself to, I've got so various different kinds of musical styles, but I really fancied working with John at the time.
Is it different working with someone who's not a native Englishman or an American?
No. I think Swedish people are very nice people anyway. John happens to be one of the nicer people you could wish to meet. So working with John Norum is very easy.
Do you personally think that your styles blend in perfectly together?
I think it's matched really well. John recorded the backing tracks for the album while I was doing another project, and I flew out to Los Angeles, and he asked me, as my expertise, to write the lyrics and the melodies, and it was done in a week, the whole thing.
Mm. You told me that Glenn works very fast in the studio, that you were
Yeah.
amazed by the speed which he created things.
Yeah, I heard some rumors before that he was, really fast in the studio and really professional in the studio and stuff. And working with Don Dokken, which is like the slowest guy you can ever work with. I mean, he's a great guy and a great friend of mine, but really, he's really slow. Because the album took, in 4 years I did one tour and one record.
Excuse me.
So that's, a very long time. And, I had the music and everything, and I was kind of surprised that Glenn didn't really want to come to my house and work out the stuff. Well, let's just do it in the studio, Glenn said. I was like, well, that sounds kind of...
He freaked him out, because I do all my work at the desk in the studio.
Yeah.
It's all... When I hear a song, I hear the color. I see colors immediately of where I want to write lyrics for, and it freaked him out because he'd never worked with anybody that could actually to put it together so quickly.
Mm.
Because when I work with Don, he can work on one song, melodies and lyrics and stuff, for like 2 or 3 weeks. And Glenn, the title track of the album, Face the Truth, took about, to record and write all the lyrics and melodies from scratch, took about 2 hours. And I never seen anything like it, so I was really impressed.
I must also state that I think Joey's song with John is, I love Joey, what he did to it, and I must say that it's a great song.
Mm. Great. I was thinking, this could easily lead up to a permanent project between the two of you.
Well, for me right now, for the Glenn Hughes story, it's that because of my misfortunes earlier on in my career, I now have sorted my life out, and everybody and everyone in the world wants to work with Glenn now. So I'm so busy, but there's always a place for John in my life. It's just a matter of how we're going to do it and when we're going to do it. We have to schedule the time to do it.
Exactly.
Because he's got his solo career, I'm going to have mine, plus I have other things I'm always doing. I'm always working now, so it's just a matter. I will always work with John. It's just a matter we have to schedule the time.
Touching a bit on Deep Purple here, is the legacy of having been a part of that band, is that a chain around your neck as well as a blessing?
You couldn't have said it better. It has been a chain around my neck as well as a blessing. I don't regret joining Deep Purple, but for people that have enjoyed my music through the years will understand that Glenn Hughes is very much a contemporary artist rather than someone that played in a 70s heavy metal band. I consider myself to be more of always learning the art of singing new ways and the different musical styles which I like. It won't be crazy if I did any kind of musical thing could suit me, you know. So I don't want to be pigeonholed as just a heavy metal person, because obviously I'm not that. I'm a singer of great songs.
Yeah,
That's what I
we
want
know that
people-
you collaborated with something as far-fetched as KLF in this sense.
They were looking for, quote unquote, the voice of rock. They had some people who I won't mention who were up for this song, and they chose me above everybody, which gave me an incredible boost. And the song has been a major hit, you know. So it's given Glenn Hughes the opening of the door again.
The video to that song is fantastic. It's like an adventure movie. Really.
It's great.
Was it fun in the making?
It was fabulous. It was done at Pinewood Studios, where 007 soundstage, where all the 007 James Bond movies are, made. And I was in this Viking boat for 2 days, getting real wet, and that's when my hair was long. But it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And now I hear that there's yet another strange thing in the making here.
Every day. Earth, Wind and Fire, one of the best bands in the world, have asked me to join them. Maurice and Philip have left the band, and they want a new singer who can sing everything and who can sing the old Earth, Wind and Fire songs, and then I wrote some new songs for them. So we're going to start rehearsing very shortly.
Does this mean that Glenn Hughes is finally turning black?
Glenn Hughes has always been, as people understand me, a very soulful, emotional, spiritual singer. So for people who care about the Glenn Hughes voice, they will understand that for me to do a thing with Earth, Wind and Fire is very natural. It's also very natural to do John Norum. So don't be surprised if I pop up everywhere, but the next 2 years we'll see Glenn Hughes going in a more soulful direction, because Glenn Hughes can sing the songs that not many people can sing.
Mm. So where did you get your voice from?
God. It's all from, and I'm not being in any way strange when I say this, but I think God has put me on this earth for a purpose. I think my misfortunes from the drug years have all been leading to this point in my life now where I can actually be at peace with myself and my family, and to sing like a bird, as someone said, and I owe it to God. So I'm very in tune with my higher power. I really do talk a lot about my recovery. It's very important to me. So it comes from God. I sing through God. I'm just rented, but this body is just rented from Him. Little heavy, but.
And it seems like you're giving it back in good shape.
I'm doing extremely well, Anders. As you know, you've been a close friend for 5 years now. It's doing great.
Great. That's the end of part 1.